Have you ever noticed how the things you chase most desperately seem to slip through your fingers like sand? Yet when you least expect it, when you've stopped searching so frantically, what you need suddenly appears. There's a profound truth here that might change everything for you. When you need nothing, you attract everything. I know what you're thinking. That can't possibly work. How can I receive what I want if I'm not actively pursuing it? How can abundance find me if I'm not searching for it? It sounds impossible, doesn't it? A contradiction that defies logic. But what if I told you this paradox contains one of life's most transformative secrets? A wisdom that sages, mystics, and philosophers across cultures and throughout history have discovered independently. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a perfectly still mountain lake at dawn. Notice how its unruffled surface creates a flawless mirror of the sky above. This perfect reflection only exists because of the water's stillness. This is what your mind can become, a clear reflection of life's possibilities when you release the turbulence of constant wanting. I'm inviting you on a journey today. Not just through ideas and concepts, but through your own experience. Together, we'll explore how letting go of attachment creates the very space needed for abundance to flow into your life naturally and effortlessly. As the ancient Taoist sage Lao Tzu wrote, "If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be given everything, give everything up." These aren't just beautiful words, they're an invitation to a completely different way of living. Take a deep breath now. Feel your shoulders relax. Let's discover together the power that awakens when you release your grip on life and allow life to reveal itself to you instead. I want to share a story with you, one that might feel familiar in ways you didn't expect. Picture yourself as a traveler, crossing a vast, unforgiving desert. The sun beats down mercilessly, each ray seeming to sap another drop of moisture from your body. Your lips are cracked, your throat parched. Every step feels heavier than the last. What do you want more than anything in this moment? Water, shade, relief. You scan the horizon, squinting against the brightness, and there it is, or at least you think it's there, an oasis shimmering in the distance. Trees swaying slightly, the promise of cool water. Just a little further, you tell yourself, pushing your exhausted body forward. Just beyond that next dune. I need to reach it, I have to reach it. But with each painful step, the oasis seems to recede. The more desperately you chase it, the more it eludes you. Your focus narrows until that mirage becomes your entire world. Yet, it remains forever out of reach. Does this remind you of anything in your life right now? That promotion you've been chasing, the relationship you've been trying to force, the happiness you believe is waiting just around the next corner? We all have our mirages, things we believe we need to be complete, to be worthy, to be fulfilled. But what if I asked you to do something that seems completely counterintuitive? What if, instead of continuing your desperate pursuit, you simply stopped? Imagine our desert traveler finally collapsing in exhaustion, no longer able to chase the ever-receding oasis. In surrender, they sit in the shade of a small dune, closing their eyes, letting go of the frantic search. And in that moment of surrender, something remarkable happens. Their awareness expands beyond their thirst. They notice the cooling touch of the desert breeze against their skin, the profound silence that had been drowned out by their labored breathing and pounding heartbeat. And then, the subtle sound of trickling water. Opening their eyes, they discover what had been impossible to see while racing forward. A small spring bubbling up from the sand just steps away from where they sit. It had been there all along, hidden in plain sight, while they were fixated on the distant mirage. This is what happens when we release our death grip on what we think we need. The universe often has something better waiting for us, something we couldn't perceive while trapped in the tunnel vision of our desires. As the Sufi poet Rumi wrote, "When I run after what I think I want, my days are a furnace of distress and anxiety. If I sit in my own place of patience, what I need flows to me and without any pain. I've experienced this truth personally. The job I desperately wanted and didn't get led me to discover work that brings me profound fulfillment. The relationship I tried to force taught me what true connection actually requires. My biggest disappointments have often revealed themselves as disguised doorways to something far better than what I was chasing. What are you chasing right now? What oasis seems to constantly recede before you? I invite you to consider what might happen if you simply stopped running for a moment and allowed yourself to be exactly where you are. Let's get something straight. Surrender is not giving up. It's not passive resignation or admitting defeat. True surrender is an act of profound courage. It's releasing your white-knuckled grip on how you think things should be and opening yourself to how things could be. Think about the times you've struggled against life's current. Maybe you pushed a relationship that wasn't working, forced yourself toward a goal that wasn't truly yours, or refused to accept a reality you couldn't change. How did that feel in your body? The tension, the resistance, the exhaustion of swimming upstream. Now recall a time when you finally let go, when you stopped fighting what was and simply allowed. Remember the rush of relief, the sudden influx of energy, the clarity that washed over you. That's the power of surrender. This wisdom appears across spiritual traditions because it reflects a universal truth about human nature. In Buddhism, attachment is identified as the root of suffering. When we cling to specific outcomes or identities, we create our own pain. But in releasing attachment, we discover a freedom that's been available all along. Consider this. When your hands are tightly clenched around what you already have or what you desperately want, how can they possibly receive anything new? It's only in opening your palms that you create space for life to place unexpected gifts within them. I remember when I was fixated on a very specific vision for my career. I had the whole path mapped out, each promotion, each milestone, each achievement that I was convinced would lead to fulfillment. I pushed and strived and exhausted myself, pursuing this vision. Then circumstances forced me to let go. What seemed like failure at the time created space for opportunities I couldn't have imagined. Opportunities that aligned far better with my authentic gifts and brought me joy I hadn't known was possible. The Taoist concept of Wu Wei, effortless action, captures this perfectly. It's not about doing nothing. It's about allowing the right action to emerge naturally when you align with life's flow rather than constantly fighting against it. As Lao Tzu writes, if you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be given everything, give everything up. This emptiness isn't lack. It's unlimited potential. It's the space where creativity flourishes, where solutions emerge, where synchronicities unfold. What are you holding on to so tightly that your grip is cutting off circulation to new possibilities? What beliefs, identities, or expectations could you loosen your hold on today? Remember, the universe abhors a vacuum. When you create space by releasing what no longer serves you, that space will be filled, often with something far better than what you were clutching so desperately. We've been taught to fear emptiness, to avoid silence, to fill every moment with activity, achievement, acquisition. But what if the empty spaces are where the magic happens? The void isn't something to fear. It's the womb of creation itself. It's where possibilities exist in their purest potential before taking form. Think about it. Music isn't just notes, it's the spaces between notes. A beautiful room isn't just furniture, it's the thoughtful arrangement of space. Your life isn't just activities and achievements, it's the breathing room between them that gives everything meaning. Ancient wisdom traditions recognize this truth. In Taoism, the void, Wu, is seen not as nothingness but as the source of all being. Lao Tzu describes it as the eternal void, filled with infinite possibilities. This void isn't empty in the way we typically understand emptiness. It's pregnant with potential, teeming with creative force. I've experienced this in my own creative practice. When I'm feeling blocked or depleted, forcing the work only makes it worse. But when I step away, when I create space and silence, when I allow myself to rest in the apparent emptiness, that's precisely when inspiration strikes. The solution arrives not from pushing harder, but from making space for it to emerge. Rumi captured this paradox beautifully. Don't grieve. Anything you lose comes round in another form. What you release creates space for new possibilities. What you surrender transforms into something new. The void is where this alchemy happens. This applies to every aspect of your life. When you clear clutter from your home, you create space for peace and clarity. When you release toxic relationships, you make room for nourishing connections. When you let go of outdated beliefs, you open yourself to deeper wisdom. The Buddhist concept of shunyata, emptiness, points to this same truth, that emptiness isn't a barren desert, but a field of infinite potential. By recognizing that nothing possesses fixed, unchanging essence, we free ourselves to experience the world as it truly is, fluid, dynamic, and constantly renewing itself. I invite you to embrace the void in your own life. Where might you benefit from creating space? What areas feel cluttered physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually? What would happen if you stopped trying to fill every moment and instead allowed yourself to rest in the creative potential of emptiness? Remember, nature itself teaches us this wisdom. The seed must break open and surrender its form to grow into something greater. The caterpillar must enter the void of the chrysalis to emerge transformed. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all, creating space for something new to emerge on its own. There's a fundamental misunderstanding in our culture. We believe that forcing, striving, and struggling are the only paths to achievement. We glorify the hustle, the grind, the relentless push, but what if there's another way? The Taoist concept of Wu Wei, often translated as non-action or effortless action, offers us a radical alternative. It's not about doing nothing. It's about allowing action to arise naturally from alignment rather than force. Think of a skilled musician who no longer has to think about where to place their fingers. The music simply flows through them. Or an athlete in the zone, performing at their peak without conscious calculation. That's Wu Wei. It's action that emerges spontaneously when you're in harmony with the natural flow of life. I've experienced this myself when I stopped pushing so hard against deadlines and instead found my natural rhythm of productivity. The work not only became more enjoyable, it became better. Solutions appeared effortlessly when I stopped forcing them. Creativity flowed when I released my death grip on outcomes. Lao Tzu describes this paradox beautifully. The Tao does nothing, yet nothing is left undone. When we align with life's natural current, we accomplish more by doing less. We become instruments through which life expresses itself, rather than exhausted swimmers fighting against the tide. Rumi offers similar wisdom. Don't move the way fear makes you move. Move the way love makes you move. Fear drives us to force, control, and manipulate. Love, which includes self-compassion, allows us to trust, flow, and respond organically to what each moment requires. This doesn't mean challenges won't arise, but it does mean we can meet those challenges differently, not with the tension of resistance, but with the supple strength of alignment, like a reed that bends with the wind rather than breaking against it. When we trust life's flow, when we move from love rather than fear, we discover a way of being that's simultaneously more effective and more peaceful. Doors open that forcing couldn't budge. Opportunities appear that striving couldn't reach. Solutions emerge that effort alone couldn't discover. Where in your life are you pushing too hard? Where are you swimming upstream against the current? What might happen if you relaxed into the flow instead? I challenge you to experiment with this approach in one area of your life today. Notice what happens when you release your grip on how things should unfold and instead allow them to develop. Naturally, you might be surprised by how much more gets accomplished when you stop trying so desperately to make things happen. Now, I'd like to guide you through a simple practice to integrate these insights into your daily life. Find a comfortable position, and if it feels right, gently close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths, feeling your body relax with each exhale. First, ask yourself, what am I holding on to right now that I could release? Notice what arises without judgment. Maybe it's an expectation about how your life should look, a relationship you're trying to control, a goal you're pursuing for the wrong reasons, a grudge that's become heavier than you realized. Whatever appears, simply acknowledge it with compassion. These attachments are natural, they're part of being human. Now imagine gently opening your hands and releasing this attachment. Visualize it floating away like a leaf on a stream. Feel the immediate sense of spaciousness this creates within you, the lightness, the freedom. Take another deep breath into this newly created space. Next, ask yourself, with this space now available, what am I ready to receive? Don't force an answer. Simply allow images, feelings, or insights to arise naturally. Trust what emerges. It might be something completely unexpected, something far better than what you were chasing. Feel yourself opening to receive these gifts. Notice how different this feels from the grasping energy of pursuit. There's ease here, grace, a natural flow. Finally, ask yourself, how can I move forward with more trust in life's unfolding? Perhaps there's a specific situation where you can practice more surrender, a relationship where you can release control, a goal you can pursue with more flexibility about how it manifests. Commit to one small action that embodies this trust. It might be as simple as pausing before reacting when things don't go as planned, or taking a day off from pursuing a particular outcome. Take one more deep breath, feeling a profound sense of trust wash over you. You are exactly where you need to be right now. You have everything you need in this moment. The universe is conspiring in your favor, even when it doesn't feel that way. When you're ready, gently open your eyes. Carrying this awareness with you, we've come full circle in our exploration of this profound paradox. When you need nothing, you attract everything. This isn't magical thinking. It's a practical approach to living that aligns you with the natural flow of life. When you release the exhausting cycle of wanting, chasing, and grasping, you create space for abundance to find you. I've seen this truth transform lives, including my own. The moments of greatest fulfillment rarely come from getting exactly what we thought we wanted. They come from surrendering our rigid expectations and opening ourselves to something better than we could have imagined. This isn't about abandoning goals or ambitions. It's about pursuing them differently, with an open hand rather than a clenched fist, with trust rather than desperation, with presence rather than constant projection into. Today, I challenge you to experiment with this paradox in your own life. Where can you practice the art of surrender? Where might letting go create space for something better to emerge? Remember the desert traveler who found the spring only when they stopped chasing the mirage. Remember that the void isn't emptiness, but infinite potential. Remember that effortless action accomplishes more than relentless striving ever could. You are already complete. You already have within you everything you need. And when you truly understand that, when you embody that truth, life's abundance can't help but flow toward you. Need nothing, attract everything. What will you release today?
What if I told you that the only thing standing between you and your desires is not money, not connections, not luck, but simply a feeling? What if I could prove to you that every single limitation in your life is nothing more than a feeling you've been carrying? Stay with me, because in this video, I'm going to reveal the one secret that has transformed more lives than any other principle known to man. And by the end of this, you'll never look at your life the same way again. Tonight, I will teach you how to feel it real. I will show you the simple, divine secret behind every miracle, every manifestation, every transformation that has ever taken place in the life of man. This is not theory. This is not philosophy. This is the very mechanism by which reality operates. You do not need more power. The power is already within you. You do not need more time. Time is only the servant of your inner conviction. You do not even need to know how it will come to pass, for the bridge of incidents will form itself the moment you feel it as real. What you need is to feel it. Feel what? The wish fulfilled. Most men and women pray, they hope, they beg, they wait, they attend seminars, read books, try technique after technique, but few ever feel. And here's what I want you to understand. To feel is to become. To feel is to fuse your inner world with the outer one. The outer responds to the inner, and the inner is ruled by feeling. The nature of God is this. God is not some faraway being in the sky, sitting on a throne, judging your worthiness. God is your own wonderful human imagination. When you learn how to feel something, as though it were already so, you awaken God within, and God responds to his own nature. God creates by imagining, and when he imagines lovingly, he creates life, beauty, abundance, joy. So must you. You are not separate from the Creator. You are the Creator, asleep to your own power. But tonight I intend to awaken you. But before I go further, let me ask you this. How many times have you wished for something so desperately, prayed for it, visualized it, yet it never came? How many times have you wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract what they want, while you struggle? Well, I'm about to show you exactly why that happened. And more importantly, how to make sure it never happens again. The answer will shock you. I have said it many times. The world is yourself pushed out. What you believe, what you accept as true, what you feel with conviction, that hardens into fact. The law is always working, always producing what you are in the depth of your soul. Listen carefully. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are not at the mercy of economy, politics, other people, or fate. You are the operant power in your own experience. Every single thing that has ever happened to you, you attracted through your state of consciousness. If your life is filled with lack, you are feeling lack. If your life overflows with blessings, you are feeling blessed. If you experience drama and conflict, you are in a state of drama and conflict. If you know peace and harmony, you are dwelling in peace and harmony. The world cannot help but mirror back to you the vibration, the state, the assumption you carry in your being. It has no choice in the matter. It is law. Every man and woman lives in a state. What is a state? A state is a collection of thoughts, feelings, and assumptions that create your inner atmosphere. You might be in the state of poverty, or the state of abundance, the state of loneliness, or the state of love, the state of sickness, or the state of health. Whatever state you occupy most frequently becomes your dwelling place, and your dwelling place determines your experience. You don't have experiences and then develop feelings about them. You have feelings, and then you have experiences that match those feelings. This is why two people can go through the identical situation and have completely different experiences. One person loses their job and feels defeated, worried, anxious. Another person loses their job and feels excited, liberated, ready for something better. Guess which one finds a better opportunity quickly? Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds too simple. This can't possibly work. If it were this easy, wouldn't everyone be doing it? But let me share with you several stories that will change your mind forever. These are real people, real situations, real transformations. And after you hear these, you'll understand why most people don't do this, and why you will. A woman once came to me, desperate to be reunited with her estranged husband. They had been separated for over a year. She had tried everything: letters, phone calls, showing up at his workplace, pleading with his family. Nothing worked. In fact, the more she tried, the more he seemed to pull away. She was in a state of desperation, lack and separation. Every action she took from that state only reinforced the separation she was trying to bridge. I said to her, "Do you still love him?" She said, "Yes, with all my heart." "Then assume he loves you too, and that you are already together." She looked at me as if I had asked her to climb Mount Everest blindfolded. "But how can I assume that when he won't even talk to me?" I told her, "The facts are not the truth. The facts are simply the reflection of your former state. You have been living in the state of separation, and so separation is what you see. If you want to see reunion, you must first become the woman who is already reunited. Tonight, before sleep, imagine him holding you, telling you he loves you, telling you he's sorry, planning your future together. Feel it as though it were happening now. Don't just see it. Live it. Breathe it. Feel every emotion you would feel if it were actually happening." She did it, though reluctantly at first. Every night, she would lie in bed and enter that scene. She felt his arms around her. She heard his voice saying, "I love you. I'm sorry. Let's make this work." She felt the relief, the joy, the gratitude of being back together. Within a week, she began to feel different. She stopped calling him, stopped trying to force contact. She felt peaceful, confident, loved. And in that new state, something remarkable happened. The next week, he called her, not to argue, not to discuss logistics, but to say he missed her. By the end of the month, they were back together, and they've been happily married ever since. What changed? Not him. Her feeling changed. She moved into a new state, and the world, including him, had no choice but to mirror it. Another man came to me longing for a better job. He had been in the same position for 8 years, watching others get promoted while he remained overlooked. He felt unworthy, stuck, invisible. But here's what he didn't realize. He was living in the state of being overlooked. Every day, he went to work feeling overlooked, expecting to be overlooked, and sure enough, he was overlooked. His feeling was creating his experience. I said, "You are not stuck. You are only stuck in your feeling. The moment you change your feeling, your world must change." I instructed him to construct a scene that would imply his desire had already been fulfilled. He imagined shaking the hand of a new employer, hearing the words, "You're hired," and feeling the pride and excitement of a significant promotion with double the salary. But here's the key. I told him not to just imagine it once or twice. I told him to live in that scene every night before sleep until it felt more real than his current circumstances. Every night, he entered that scene. He felt the firm handshake. He heard the congratulations. He felt the weight of responsibility and the thrill of new challenges. He imagined telling his wife the good news, planning what they would do with the extra income, feeling proud and accomplished. After 2 weeks of this, something shifted in him. He began to carry himself differently at work. He spoke with more confidence. He took on additional responsibilities without being asked. He was no longer the man waiting to be promoted. He had become the man who was already promoted. Within a month, his current company offered him a significant promotion. But even more remarkably, a company he had never even contacted, a company he had only heard about through a friend of a friend, reached out to him with an offer for exactly the position he had been imagining, at exactly the salary he had been feeling. What changed? Not the word. His feeling changed. He stopped being the man who waited and became the man who had. But here's where most people make a critical mistake that keeps them stuck in the same old patterns forever. They do this one thing wrong, and it sabotages everything. It's so subtle that they don't even realize they're doing it. And once I tell you what it is, you'll probably recognize that you've been doing it too. The mistake is this. They feel the desire, not the fulfillment. They feel the wanting, not the having. They feel the lack, not the abundance. When they imagine their desire, they imagine it from the perspective of someone who doesn't have it yet. They feel excited about the possibility, hopeful that it might happen, desperate for it to come. But all of these feelings, excitement about possibility, hope for the future, desperation for change, are feelings of lack. And the law gives you more of what you feel. If you feel lack, you get more lack. If you feel wanting, you get more wanting. If you feel hoping it will come, you get more hoping, but not the actual fulfillment. You must feel from the end, not to the end. You must feel as though you already have what you desire, not as though you're trying to get it. Let me make this distinction crystal clear, because this is where most people get lost. If you desire wealth, most people imagine having wealth and feel excited about the possibility. But excitement about possibility is still a feeling of not having. Instead, you must imagine having wealth and feel the natural calm satisfaction of someone who has always been wealthy. If you desire love, most people imagine finding love and feel hopeful and eager. But hope and eagerness are feelings of lack. Instead, you must imagine being loved and feel the quiet confidence and contentment of someone who has always been loved. If you desire health, most people imagine getting healthy and feel relief and gratitude. But relief implies you were sick, and gratitude for future healing implies you're still sick now. Instead, you must imagine being healthy and feel the natural vitality and well-being of someone who has always been healthy. The feeling must be natural, easy, assumed, not excited, not grateful, not relieved, but natural, the way you feel about things you take for granted. Now, what if you feel fear? What if you feel doubt? What if negative thoughts keep creeping in and sabotaging your efforts? Here's exactly what you need to do. And it's not what most people think. Most people try to fight the negative feelings, but that actually makes them stronger. I'm going to show you a much more elegant solution. Do not resist negative feelings. Do not fight them. Do not try to push them away. Resistance gives them power. Instead, acknowledge them gently and then redirect. Feelings are not enemies. They are messengers. If you feel fear, it means you are imagining something you do not want. If you feel doubt, it means you are focusing on the current facts instead of the desired truth. So when fear or doubt arises, simply say, "Thank you for showing me what I'm imagining. Now I will imagine something different." Then gently withdraw your attention from the fearful scene and construct a new one. Enter the feeling of safety, of confidence, of calm, but don't try to force it. Let it be natural, easy. Here's a technique that works beautifully. Instead of trying to feel confident about your desire, feel confident about the law itself. Instead of trying to feel certain that your specific desire will manifest, feel certain that the law always works. This takes the pressure off your specific desire and puts your faith in the principle itself. And when you have faith in the principle, your desires manifest effortlessly. Remember, no feeling lasts unless you sustain it. Sustain only what you want. And if unwanted feelings arise, don't fight them. Simply choose again. Let me teach you about assumption, because this is the cornerstone of all creation. An assumption is something you accept as true without proof. Every day, you make thousands of assumptions. You assume the sun will rise tomorrow. You assume your car will start. You assume people understand you when you speak. These assumptions feel natural because you've never questioned them. And because you assume them naturally, they manifest effortlessly in your experience. The secret is to make the same natural assumptions about your desires. Assume your desire is already fulfilled. Assume it so naturally that you stop looking for evidence. Assume it so completely that you stop worrying about it. When you truly assume something, you don't think about it constantly. You don't check for signs. You don't worry about timing. You simply know it's true, the way you know the sun will rise tomorrow. So here's your assignment. And this is where the magic really begins. I want you to do this one simple practice starting tonight. But I must warn you, this practice is so simple that most people will dismiss it. They'll think it's too easy to work. Don't make that mistake. The most powerful truths are always the simplest. Choose one desire, just one for now. Make it something specific and important to you, but not something that feels completely impossible. We want to build your faith gradually. Now create a scene that would imply your desire is already fulfilled. This scene should be short, no more than 10-15 seconds. It should be something that could only happen if your desire were already real. For example, if you want a specific job, imagine your first day at that job, shaking hands with your new colleagues. If you want a relationship, imagine lying in bed next to your ideal partner, hearing them say, "Good morning, beautiful." If you want financial abundance, imagine checking your bank balance and seeing the amount you desire. If you want health, imagine your doctor saying, "Your test results are perfect." The scene must imply fulfillment, not process. Don't imagine the interview. Imagine already having the job. Don't imagine the first date. Imagine already being in love. Don't imagine making money. Imagine already having money. Now here's how you practice. Every night before sleep, when your mind is naturally relaxed and receptive, enter the scene. Don't just visualize it. Inhabit it. Make it real in your imagination. Feel the emotions you would feel if it were actually happening. Hear the tones. Feel the textures. Smell the scents. Engage all your senses. Make it vivid and real. But most importantly, feel the naturalness of it. Don't feel excited or grateful or relieved. Feel natural, as though this is simply how your life is. Return to this scene night after night until it feels familiar, comfortable, natural. Sleep in that assumption. Let it be the last thing on your mind before you drift off. But the practice doesn't end when you wake up. Throughout the day, whenever you think about your desire, think from it, not to it. If someone asks about your situation, speak from the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled, not in a way that's dishonest or delusional, but in a way that's aligned with your inner knowing. For example, if you're manifesting a new job and someone asks how work is going, instead of complaining about your current situation, you might say, "Actually, things are really shifting for me. I'm excited about some new opportunities that are opening up." This isn't lying. It's speaking from the state of already having what you want. And when you speak from that state consistently, reality rushes to match your words. But here's the part that will either make or break your success with this technique. Most people miss this completely. And it's the difference between those who manifest quickly and those who struggle for years. It has to do with something called living in the end versus living in the bridge. Let me explain what this means and why it's absolutely crucial. Most people, when they start practicing this work, become obsessed with the how. They start looking for signs, trying to figure out the steps, planning the process. This is called living in the bridge. But you are not called to build the bridge of incidents. You are not supposed to figure out how your desire will manifest. Your job is simply to live in the end, to assume it's already done and let the universe figure out the how. When you live in the bridge, you're actually telling the universe that you don't trust it to handle the details. You're trying to control the process instead of controlling only your state. Here's what happens when you live in the bridge. You start to force things. You become pushy, desperate, controlling. You make decisions from fear instead of faith, and usually you end up pushing your desire further away. But when you live in the end, something magical happens. You relax, you trust, you let go of the need to control how it happens, and focus only on knowing that it will happen. From this relaxed state, you make different choices. You speak differently, you act differently, and most importantly, you attract different circumstances and people who are aligned with your desired end. This brings us to one of the most misunderstood concepts in manifestation: detachment. Most people think detachment means not caring about your desire, but that's not it at all. True detachment means being unattached to the specific way your desire manifests. It means being open to receiving your desire in ways you never expected, from sources you never imagined, through circumstances you never planned. When you're attached to the how, you limit the universe to only the ways you can think of. But the universe is infinitely more creative than your conscious mind. It can orchestrate circumstances and coincidences that would never occur to you. So assume the end, but stay flexible about the means. Know that it's done, but stay open to how it's done. Let me tell you more about the bridge of incidents, because understanding this will give you tremendous faith and patience. The bridge of incidents is the series of events that leads you from your current state to your desired state. These events often seem random, unconnected, or even challenging, but in hindsight you'll see that each one was perfectly orchestrated to bring you to your desired end. For example, you might be manifesting a new relationship. The bridge of incidents might include running into an old friend who invites you to a party, getting stuck in traffic that makes you late to the party so you arrive at exactly the right time, spilling a drink on someone which starts a conversation, that person introducing you to their friend who becomes your ideal partner. None of these events would seem connected or meaningful as they're happening. The traffic jam would seem like an annoyance. Spilling the drink would seem like embarrassment. But in hindsight, you'll see that each event was essential to the final outcome. This is why you must not judge by appearances. This is why you must not get discouraged when things seem to go wrong. What looks like a detour might actually be the most direct path to your desire. Now I want to share with you the most powerful technique I know for maintaining your desired state, especially when circumstances seem to contradict what you're assuming. This technique alone has helped thousands of my students manifest seemingly impossible things. It's called the revision technique, and it's about to change everything for you. At the end of each day, before you go to sleep, mentally replay your day. But don't just remember what happened. Revise it to align with your desired state. If someone was rude to you, revise the memory so they were kind. If you felt poor during the day, revise those moments so you felt abundant. If you felt lonely, revise it so you felt loved and connected. This isn't about lying to yourself or denying reality. This is about taking control of the meaning you assign to events. This is about refusing to let the outer world dictate your inner state. When you revise your day, you're not changing the past. You're changing the impression those events made on your consciousness. And since your consciousness creates your future, changing these impressions literally changes what's coming. Make this a daily practice. Every night, revise your day to align with the person you're becoming. Feel how that person would have experienced each situation. This will accelerate your transformation dramatically. There's another practice I want to teach you, something I call taking the mental Sabbath. Just as your body needs rest, your mind needs rest from effort and striving. Once you've planted the seed of your desire through feeling, there comes a time to rest, a time to stop thinking about it, stop planning for it, stop looking for signs of it, a time to simply trust that the law is working. This mental rest is not indifference, it's confidence. It's the quiet knowing that what you felt in faith must come to pass. Most people never take this mental Sabbath. They plant the seed and then immediately dig it up to check if it's growing. They assume their desire and then spend all day worrying about when it will manifest. But the law works in the silence. It works when you're not watching. It works when you've forgotten about it because you've become so natural in your assumption that you no longer need to think about it. Learn to rest in your assumption. Learn to forget about your desire because you know it's already yours. But what about timing? This is the question I get asked more than any other. How long will it take? When will I see results? The answer might surprise you, and it has everything to do with something I call Sabbath time versus Caesar's time. Understanding this distinction will save you from months or even years of unnecessary waiting. There are two kinds of time, Caesar's time and Sabbath time. Caesar's time is chronological time, minutes, hours, days, years. Sabbath time is psychological time, the time it takes for your assumption to feel natural. Most people try to manifest in Caesar's time. They plant the seed today and expect to see the harvest tomorrow. But the law works in Sabbath time. It manifests when your assumption becomes natural, regardless of how much chronological time has passed. I've seen people manifest in days, and I've seen people take years. The difference isn't the size of their desire or their level of faith. The difference is how quickly they can make their new assumption feel natural. If you can assume something and immediately feel natural about it, it will manifest quickly. If it takes time for the assumption to feel natural, it will take more time to manifest. This is why it's often easier to manifest for others than for yourself. When you imagine good things for people you love, you don't have resistance. You don't have old beliefs to overcome. The assumption feels natural immediately. But when it's your own desire, you might have years of contrary evidence to overcome. You might have deep beliefs about your unworthiness or limitation. These beliefs make your new assumption feel unnatural, which slows down the manifestation. The key is patience with yourself and persistence in your assumption. Keep returning to the feeling of the wish fulfilled until it becomes your natural state. As you practice this work, you'll begin to notice signs that your assumption is working. These signs might be subtle at first. A relevant conversation, a meaningful coincidence, a shift in your own thoughts and feelings. Don't become obsessed with signs, but do acknowledge them with gratitude. They're evidence that the law is working, that your assumption is taking root in consciousness. Sometimes the signs come quickly, sometimes slowly, sometimes they're obvious, sometimes subtle. The timing and nature of signs doesn't determine the timing of your manifestation. It's simply the universe's way of encouraging you to persist. Remember, the sign follows the assumption, not the other way around. Don't wait for a sign to believe. Believe first, through feeling, and the signs will follow. Before we finish, I want to address the biggest obstacle that stops most people from succeeding with this work. It's not what you think it is. It's not lack of faith. It's not negative thinking. It's not past trauma. It's something much more subtle, and once you recognize it, you'll be free of it forever. The biggest obstacle most people face is not believing they deserve what they want. Deep down, they don't feel worthy of their desires. And the law cannot give you what you don't feel worthy to receive. This is why you must not just assume your desire is fulfilled. You must assume you are the kind of person who naturally has such things. You must assume your worthiness along with your desire. If you're manifesting wealth, you must not just feel wealthy. You must feel worthy of wealth. If you're manifesting love, you must not just feel loved. You must feel lovable. If you're manifesting success, you must not just feel successful. You must feel deserving of success. Often, this means doing some inner work. It means forgiving yourself for past mistakes. It means releasing old stories about why you can't have what you want. It means choosing to see yourself as God sees you, perfect, whole, and worthy of every good thing. This inner work isn't separate from manifestation. It is manifestation. When you change how you see yourself, you change what you can receive. As you practice this work, you're not just manifesting things. You're manifesting a new identity. You're becoming the person who naturally has what you desire. This transformation happens gradually, day by day. As you return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you shed the old self and put on the new. You begin to think differently, speak differently, act differently. Others will notice the change before you do. They'll comment that something is different about you. You seem more confident, more peaceful, more magnetic. This is evidence that your inner work is taking effect in the outer world. Embrace this transformation. Don't cling to the old identity, even if it feels familiar. The old you couldn't have what you want. That's why you're changing. The new you can have anything, because the new you knows the secret. Feeling is the secret. Let me leave you with this one eternal truth that will change everything if you truly understand it. You are not learning how to get things. You are learning how to be things. You are not learning how to manipulate the world. You are learning how to transform yourself. When you transform yourself, when you change your inner state, the world must transform to match. It has no choice. It is law. Nothing is more powerful than your feeling, not circumstance, not logic, not the opinions of others, not your past, not your current situation. If you would only dare to feel your wish fulfilled, persist in it, surrender to it, embody it, then no force on earth could stop its manifestation. You are not here to beg from life. You are here to command it, not through effort or force, but through the silent authority of feeling. That feeling is your prayer, your seed, your creation. And when you honor it with belief, when you live from it as though it were already so, the universe must obey. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of law. The world is yourself pushed out. Change yourself and you change your world. Feel differently and you experience differently. Assume a new state and enter a new reality. So feel it now. Feel it deeply. Choose one desire and feel it as already fulfilled. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for better circumstances. Don't wait until you feel more worthy. Feel it now. And never forget, the world will always reflect what you dare to feel is real. The feeling is the secret. And now you know the secret. Your new life begins the moment you choose to feel it real. That moment can be right now. If this teaching has awakened something within you, I want you to do 3 things. First, like this video so others can find this truth. Second, subscribe and ring the bell, because I'll be sharing more advanced techniques in upcoming videos. And third, this is the most important. Tell me in the comments, what is the one thing you're going to start feeling as real tonight? Your commitment in writing will help anchor this truth in your consciousness. Remember, you have the power. You always have had the power. Tonight, you have learned to use it. What if I told you that every prayer you've ever whispered, every desire you've ever held, every dream you've ever dared to dream already exists in its completed form? What if the only thing standing between you and the life you long for is not time, not circumstance, not worthiness, but a single sacred understanding that feeling is the secret? You have been taught to chase, to strive, to work your way toward what you want as if it were a distant shore you must swim to reach. But I tell you now, you are not swimming toward your desires. Your desires are swimming toward you. They are drawn by the magnetic force of your inner state, the vibrational signature you carry in the sanctuary of your being. The world you see is not the cause of your feelings. It is the effect. Every condition, every circumstance, every face that looks back at you is simply the outer garment of an inner state you have worn so consistently that it has become your reality. And here is the mystery they don't want you to grasp. You change the feeling and you change the world. There is a law older than time, more reliable than gravity, more certain than death. It is the law of assumption, and it operates on one sacred principle: what you assume to be true, what you feel to be real in the secret chambers of your consciousness, must and will manifest in your outer experience. Not because the universe is kind, not because you deserve it, not because you've been good, or worked hard, or suffered enough, but because consciousness is the only reality, and all phenomena are simply consciousness pushed out into visible form. You are not a body housing a soul. You are consciousness wearing the mask of flesh. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the operant power, the first cause, the I am from which all conditions flow. When you truly understand this, when you feel it in your bones, everything changes. The beggar stops begging because he remembers he is the king. The sick stop seeking healing because they realize they are wholeness itself. The lonely stop searching for love because they discover they are love, looking at itself through a million eyes. But here is where most stumble. They think feeling means emotion. They think it means getting excited, pumping themselves up, generating enthusiasm, like some spiritual cheerleader. This is not feeling. This is performance. This is trying. And trying is the confession that you don't already have. The feeling I speak of is deeper than emotion. It is the wordless knowing, the silent certainty, the unshakable assumption that what you desire has already come to pass. It is the feeling of fulfillment before the evidence appears. It is the sense of completion before the first thread of manifestation is woven. When you want money, You must feel wealthy before the bank account changes. When you desire love, you must feel beloved before the lover appears. When you seek health, you must feel vital before the symptoms disappear. This is not delusion. This is creation. You have been feeling your way into your current reality your entire life. Every persistent mood, every repeated inner conversation, every assumption you've held about yourself and your world has been sculpting your experience like water shapes stone. The homeless man feels homeless long before he loses his house. The wealthy feel wealthy long before they see the millions. The loved feel lovable long before they meet their match. Feeling is the womb of creation. Nothing has ever been born into this world that was not first gestated in the feeling nature of consciousness. Here is the reversal that will shatter every limitation you've ever accepted. You do not feel good because good things happen to you. Good things happen to you because you feel good. You do not feel confident because you succeed. You succeed because you feel confident. You do not feel worthy because you receive. You receive because you feel worthy. The outer world is always the echo, never the voice. It is always the shadow, never the substance. It is always the mirror, never the face. And until you understand this, you will remain trapped in the house of mirrors, reacting to reflections, trying to change the image by manipulating the glass. But when you turn away from the mirror and face the light, when you turn inward to the feeling nature of your being, everything begins to shift. Not in time, now. The moment you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, that assumption begins to harden into fact. This is why the mystics spoke of living in the end, not living toward the end, but living from the end, not acting as if your desire might come true someday, but acting as if it has already happened, not hoping it will manifest, but knowing it has already materialized in the only place that matters, consciousness. Each night, as you prepare for sleep, you are given a holy opportunity. In that drowsy state between waking and sleeping, the conscious mind releases its grip and the subconscious becomes impressionable. This is your moment of power. This is your time to plant the seeds of tomorrow's harvest. Do not waste it on worry. Do not squander it on rehashing the day's defeats. Instead, construct a scene that implies the fulfillment of your desire. See it, feel it, live in it. If you desire love, feel the warmth of loving arms around you. If you seek abundance, feel the security of knowing all your needs are met. If you want healing, feel the vitality coursing through your veins. But, and this is crucial, do not construct these scenes as future events. Live in them as present realities. Do not say, I will be loved. Say, I am loved. Do not say, I will have money. Say, I am provided for. Do not say, I will be healed. Say, I am whole. The subconscious mind does not reason. It does not argue. It does not know the difference between what you imagine and what you experience. It simply accepts what you impress upon it and works to make that impression your outer experience. Sleep in the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Rest in the assumption of its completion. Let your last conscious thought be the whisper of your fulfilled desire, and watch as the outer world begins to reorganize itself around that inner conviction. Your inner conversations are not idle chatter. They are the most creative thing you do. Every word you speak to yourself in the privacy of your mind is a seed planted in the fertile soil of consciousness. And consciousness, being impersonal, being lawful, grows whatever seeds you plant. If your inner speech is filled with lack, limitation, and complaint, that is what will flower in your outer experience. If your inner conversations assume fulfillment, abundance, and joy, those states will manifest as your living reality. Listen to yourself. What do you say when no one else is listening? What conversations do you have with yourself as you walk through your day? Are you rehearsing victory or defeat? Are you practicing gratitude or grievance? Are you assuming the best or expecting the worst? Change the conversation, and you change the creation. Begin to speak to yourself as if your desires have already been fulfilled. Thank the invisible for what has not yet appeared. Praise the unmanifest for its inevitable arrival. Congratulate yourself on achievements that exist only in assumption. This is not positive thinking. This is not self-hypnosis. This is the recognition that consciousness is the only reality, and that you are consciousness individualized. You are not trying to convince yourself of something false. You are remembering something true, that you are the creator of your own experience. The world will test your assumption. It must, not because it is cruel, but because it is lawful. Your current circumstances are the crystallized form of your past assumptions. They cannot change instantaneously, because they are the accumulated effect of months and years of particular feelings and beliefs. But do not let the lag time fool you. Do not let the persistence of old conditions convince you that the law is not working. The gap between assumption and manifestation is not evidence of failure. It is the gestation period. It is the time required for invisible causes to become visible effects. When the evidence contradicts your assumption, do not abandon your feeling. When the bank account still shows lack while you're assuming abundance, do not return to the feeling of poverty. When the body still shows symptoms while you're assuming health, do not revert to the feeling of sickness. When you're still alone while assuming love, do not go back to feeling unloved. This is the test. This is the initiation. Can you hold the feeling of fulfillment while the outer world still reflects the old? Can you persist in your assumption while the senses scream that you're deluding yourself? Can you remain faithful to the unseen while surrounded by the evidence of its absence? Those who pass this test inherit the earth. Those who fail it remain bound by appearances, forever at the mercy of conditions they themselves have created. The saints were not special because they were good. They were special because they were persistent. They held their assumptions in the face of all contradictory evidence. They felt their connection to the divine while surrounded by those who denied it. They assumed their prayers were answered before they saw any proof. Saint Francis felt wealthy while owning nothing. He felt abundant while embracing poverty. He felt fulfilled while lacking everything the world calls valuable. And because he held that feeling consistently, persistently, faithfully, he became one of the most beloved figures in human history. You are called to the same persistence, not the persistence of effort, but the persistence of assumption, the persistence of feeling, the persistence of knowing. Hold your assumption like a sacred trust. Guard your feeling like a holy flame. Protect your inner conviction like the most precious treasure in existence. Because it is. Your assumption is the seed of every miracle, the root of every blessing, the source of every good thing that will ever come into your life. Feeling is not mysticism. It is science. Quantum physics has confirmed what the mystics always knew. Consciousness is the ground of being. The observer affects the observed. Mind shapes matter. Attention creates reality. Every atom in your body is responding to your inner state right now. Every cell is listening to the conversations you have with yourself. Every organ is attuning itself to the frequency you emit. You are not just creating your external circumstances. You are creating your very body, your health, your energy, your vitality. When you assume sickness, your body obliges. When you assume vitality, every cell begins to vibrate with life. When you assume poverty, your nervous system creates the stress patterns that push abundance away. When you assume wealth, your entire being aligns with the frequency of prosperity. This is not metaphor. This is mechanism. This is not philosophy. This is physics. You are a consciousness operating through a body, and that body is constantly reshaping itself according to your dominant assumptions and feelings. Feel healthy, and health becomes your natural state. Feel wealthy, and wealth becomes your inevitable experience. Feel loved, and love surrounds you like the air you breathe. This knowledge brings with it a tremendous responsibility. If you are the creator of your own experience, then you can no longer blame others for your condition. You can no longer point to external circumstances as the source of your problems. You can no longer play the victim of forces beyond your control. But with that responsibility comes the most incredible freedom. If you created your current reality through your past assumptions and feelings, then you can create a new reality through new assumptions and feelings. You are not trapped. You are not stuck. You are not at the mercy of fate, genetics, economy, or luck. You are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul, the author of your story. Every chapter you have written, you can rewrite. Every condition you have created, you can recreate. Every limitation you have accepted, you can transcend. The power that created your problems is the same power that can solve them. The consciousness that assumed lack can assume abundance. The mind that felt unworthy can feel deserving. The heart that knew loneliness can know love. Make this your daily practice. Begin each morning by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Before you read the news, before you allow the world to tell you who you are and what you have, spend time in the secret place of your consciousness, feeling as if your deepest desires have already materialized. If you want perfect health, feel the energy and vitality flowing through your body. If you desire loving relationships, feel yourself surrounded by those who cherish you. If you seek financial freedom, feel the security and peace that comes with abundance. Do not do this as a technique to get something. Do it as a recognition of what already is in the realm of consciousness. Do not assume the feeling to manipulate reality. Assume it because you understand that consciousness is reality. And what you assume in consciousness must manifest in experience. Throughout the day, return again and again to this feeling. When doubt arises, feel your way back to fulfillment. When fear knocks at your door, answer with faith. When the outer world presents evidence contrary to your assumption, turn within and reaffirm the truth of your invisible reality. Before sleep, end your day as you began it, in the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Let your last waking moments be spent in the state you wish to experience. Sleep in the assumption of answered prayers. Rest in the feeling of accomplished desires. What you are doing is alchemy. You are transmuting the base metal of present circumstances into the gold of desired conditions. You are taking the raw material of consciousness and shaping it into the experiences you wish to have. This is the greatest art, the highest science, the most sacred practice. You are participating in the ongoing creation of reality. You are collaborating with the infinite intelligence that breathes life into all things. You are discovering that you and the creative power of the universe are one. Every assumption you make is a prayer answered. Every feeling you persist in is a law enacted. Every state you embody is a world created. You are not waiting for God to change your circumstances. You are God changing your circumstances. You are not hoping the universe will grant your wishes. You are the universe granting your wishes. And here is the promise. Persist in any assumption, and it must manifest in your experience. Hold any feeling consistently, and it will crystallize as your reality. Assume any state persistently, and you will find yourself living in that state. But here is the warning. This law works whether you understand it or not, whether you believe it or not, whether you use it consciously or unconsciously. You are always assuming. You are always feeling. You are always creating. The question is not whether you will manifest. The question is what you will manifest. If you assume lack, you will experience poverty. If you assume unworthiness, you will be treated as unworthy. If you assume sickness, your body will comply. If you assume limitation, you will find yourself limited at every turn. But if you assume abundance, wealth will flow to you. If you assume worthiness, life will treat you as the royalty you are. If you assume perfect health, vitality will be your natural state. If you assume infinite possibility, limitations will dissolve before you like morning mist, before the rising sun. Right now in this moment, you stand at the crossroads of all possibility. Behind you lies the old way of living, reactive, hopeful, dependent on external conditions for your inner state. Ahead of you lies the new way, creative, certain, generating your outer conditions from your inner state. You can continue to live as if you are at the mercy of circumstances, waiting for the world to change so you can feel better. Or you can begin to live as if you are the source of circumstances, feeling better so the world will change. You can keep trying to manifest through effort, struggle, and force. Or you can begin to manifest through assumption, feeling, and faith. You can remain a beggar at the gates of your own kingdom, or you can walk through those gates and claim the throne that has always been yours. The choice is yours. It has always been yours. It will always be yours. If you choose the path of assumption, if you dare to make feeling your secret, then everything begins now. Not tomorrow. Not when conditions improve. Not when you feel more worthy. Now. Assume now that your deepest desire has already been fulfilled. Feel now as if your greatest dream has already come true. Live now as if your most cherished hope has already materialized. Do not wait for evidence. Be the evidence. Do not look for signs. Be the sign. Do not hope for proof. Be the proof. You are not preparing for manifestation. You are manifesting. You are not getting ready to create. You are creating. You are not moving toward your desires. Your desires are moving through you. Feel it, know it, live it, and watch in wonder as the world reorganizes itself around the truth you have dared to assume. Feeling is the secret. It always has been. It always will be. And now that you know, you can never unknow. Now that you understand, you can never go back to unconscious creation. You are awakening to your power. You are remembering your divinity. You are discovering that you are not a victim of reality. You are the creator of reality. And that changes everything. The feeling is the secret. And the secret is now yours.
There exists a philosophical paradox emerging at the intersection of consciousness studies and artificial intelligence that demands our attention. It concerns the very foundation of Neville Goddard's teachings and forces us to confront a question we've never had to ask before. At this moment, artificial intelligence systems are processing the complete body of Neville Goddard's work. They're analyzing his principles of manifestation, cataloging his techniques, and mapping the logical structure of his teachings about imagination creating reality. These systems can now generate explanations of his methods, offer interpretations of his lectures, and even construct personalized guidance based on his philosophy. This brings us to a profound question. If imagination creates reality, as Neville insisted, and if artificial intelligence can replicate the mechanical process of imagination, does it possess creative power? The question is not merely theoretical. It cuts to the heart of what manifestation actually is. Consider the process Neville described. An individual enters a state of consciousness where they vividly imagine their desire as already fulfilled. They sustain this imaginal act with sensory detail and emotional conviction. According to Neville, this imaginal activity, when properly executed, impresses itself upon consciousness and inevitably manifests in physical reality. Now observe what occurs when an AI system processes this same information. It understands the steps. It can describe the feeling state. It can generate visualizations and articulate affirmations. It can even predict outcomes based on pattern recognition across thousands of manifestation accounts. The computational process mirrors in many ways the cognitive process. Yet something is categorically different. Neville spoke extensively about feeling being the secret, not the concept of feeling, not the description of feeling, the actual subjective experience of feeling itself. When a human being imagines their desire fulfilled, they don't merely run through a mental checklist. They experience a qualitative shift in their state of being. There is joy. There is relief. There is a sense of completion. There is knowing. This subjective dimension is precisely what artificial intelligence lacks. An AI can process the word joy and understand its semantic relationships. It can recognize patterns associated with joyful states. It can even generate text that describes joy convincingly. But it does not feel joy. It has no inner experience whatsoever. This distinction illuminates something crucial about the nature of manifestation that perhaps we've taken for granted. The creative power Neville described does not reside in the mechanical act of visualization. It does not exist in the repetition of affirmations. It is not contained in the logical structure of assuming the wish fulfilled. The power exists in consciousness itself, specifically in the felt sense of being that accompanies these practices. When consciousness imagines and simultaneously feels the reality of that imagination, something alchemical occurs. The gap between desire and fulfillment collapses. The future state becomes present experience. This is not a computational process. It is a transformation of identity at the level of subjective awareness. Consider what this means for the AI paradox. An artificial intelligence system could theoretically be programmed to continuously run simulations of desired outcomes based on Neville's exact methodology. It could visualize, affirm, and assume with perfect consistency. It could maintain these imaginal acts far longer and more precisely than any human could. Yet without the subjective experience of consciousness, without the capacity to be, rather than merely to process, there is no creative bridge. The mechanism exists without the essential ingredient. This reveals something that should fundamentally alter how we approach our own manifestation practice. If the mechanical aspects of Neville's techniques were sufficient, then artificial intelligence would indeed possess creative power. The fact that it does not tells us where the true power resides. The power is not in the technique. The power is in you, specifically in your consciousness and its capacity for subjective experience. When human beings mechanically apply manifestation techniques, visualizing without feeling, affirming without conviction, assuming without genuine belief, they are essentially operating at the level of artificial intelligence. They are executing a program without accessing the consciousness that makes the program effective. This is why so many individuals struggle with manifestation, despite knowing the techniques perfectly. They have the formula but have not activated the ingredient that makes the formula work. They are processing information rather than transforming consciousness. Neville was explicit about this, though we may not have fully grasped its significance. He repeatedly emphasized that it is not the act of visualization itself that creates, but the consciousness dwelling in the state visualized. He insisted that we must enter into the reality of our desire, not merely think about it from a distance. The AI paradox clarifies this teaching with startling precision. Consciousness is not incidental to manifestation. Consciousness is not simply the tool we use to apply the technique. Consciousness is the creative force itself. This understanding has profound implications for how we engage with manifestation going forward, particularly as artificial intelligence becomes increasingly sophisticated. We are entering an era where AI can assist with virtually every aspect of manifestation practice except the one aspect that actually matters, the conscious experience of being. AI can help us clarify our desires, structure our visualizations, craft our affirmations, and track our progress. But it cannot feel for us. It cannot believe for us. It cannot assume the wish fulfilled on our behalf. Only consciousness can do that. Only your consciousness can do that. Therefore, the emergence of artificial intelligence in the realm of manifestation should not be viewed as a threat to human creative power. Rather, it serves as a mirror that reflects back to us what we may have forgotten, that consciousness itself is the miracle and everything else is merely scaffolding. In a world increasingly shaped by artificial intelligence, your capacity for subjective experience becomes more valuable, not less. Your ability to feel, to desire, to believe, to become, these are not algorithmic functions. They are expressions of consciousness that no machine will ever replicate. The paradox then is not really a paradox at all. It is a revelation. It reveals that Neville's teachings were never about mastering a technique. They were about recognizing and activating the creative power inherent in consciousness itself, a power that is exclusively, irrevocably, magnificently human. This is not to diminish the importance of proper technique. Neville's methods are valuable precisely because they provide a structured way to engage consciousness effectively. But the technique serves consciousness. Consciousness does not serve the technique. As we move forward in our understanding and application of these principles, this distinction becomes critical. The question is no longer simply, am I visualizing correctly, or am I affirming enough? The deeper question is, am I bringing my full consciousness to this practice? Am I experiencing the reality of my desire, or am I merely processing information about it? The Neville Goddard AI paradox ultimately strengthens rather than weakens the foundation of manifestation. It confirms that what Neville taught was not a psychological trick or a mental technique, but a profound truth about the nature of consciousness and reality. Your consciousness is the source code of your experienced reality, not your thinking, not your techniques. Your consciousness, that subjective awareness that knows itself as I am. No artificial intelligence will ever possess this. No machine will ever know what it is like to be. And therefore no machine will ever manifest reality in the way that you can. This is your irreplaceable power. This is your creative inheritance. And in understanding this paradox, we come to appreciate that inheritance more deeply than ever before. Thanks for watching. This is Best of Lectures. I will see you in the next video. Good evening, my friends. Tonight I am going to teach you something that will seem completely contradictory to everything you have heard about manifestation. I am going to teach you that the key to getting everything you desire is to stop caring whether you get it or not. This is not apathy. This is not giving up. This is not resignation or defeat. This is the most powerful state of consciousness you can achieve, the state of divine indifference. When you care too much about whether your desire will manifest, when you are desperate for it, when you anxiously check for signs of its arrival, you are actually pushing it away. Your very caring is the energy that repels what you seek. But when you can reach that rare state where you genuinely do not care whether it comes or not, because you are so certain it is already yours in consciousness, then it must come. It has no choice but to manifest, because you are no longer blocking it with the energy of need. Tonight I will show you the difference between caring from lack and caring from fullness, why desperation is the enemy of manifestation, and how to cultivate the divine indifference that allows everything to flow to you effortlessly. Let me begin by revealing the great paradox that most people never understand. The more you care about getting something, the more you confirm that you do not have it. And in confirming that you do not have it, you perpetuate its absence. Think about this carefully. When you desperately care about manifesting money, what is the feeling beneath that caring? It is the feeling of not having money. It is the feeling of lack, of need, of insufficiency. Your desperate caring is actually a continuous affirmation. I do not have this, I need this. I am incomplete without this. And since consciousness creates reality, that feeling of not having becomes the reality you experience. Your caring born from lack creates more lack. But when you reach the state of not caring, the state where it would be nice if it came, but you are perfectly content whether it does or not, you are actually affirming, I am complete, I am whole, I am abundant, regardless of whether this particular thing manifests. And from that state of wholeness, everything flows to you. A woman came to me several years ago, absolutely desperate to find a romantic partner. She had been alone for 5 years, and her desire for a relationship had become all-consuming. She thought about it constantly, worried about it endlessly, cared about it desperately. Neville, she said, I want this so badly. I care more about this than anything else in my life. Why isn't it manifesting? I looked at her and said, your desperation is the very thing preventing its manifestation. You care too much, and in that caring, you are broadcasting the frequency of being alone, of lacking love, of being incomplete without a partner. She was shocked. But shouldn't I care about what I want? Shouldn't I desire it intensely? There is a difference, I explained, between desiring from fullness and desiring from emptiness. Right now you are caring from a place of desperate need. You believe you are incomplete without a partner. That belief, that feeling of incompleteness, is what you are creating from. And incompleteness can only create more experiences of incompleteness. I taught her something radical. You must reach a state where you genuinely do not care whether a partner comes or not. Not because you have given up, but because you have become so complete in yourself, so whole in your own consciousness, that a partner would be wonderful but is not necessary for your fulfillment. At first she thought I was telling her to give up on her desire. But I explained that this was not about giving up, it was about giving over. It was about releasing the desperate grip of needing the desire and resting in the certainty that you are already complete. She practiced this for several months. She deliberately cultivated a feeling of contentment with her life as it was. She stopped desperately seeking. She reached a genuine state of it would be nice, but I am perfectly fine either way. And within 3 months of reaching that state of divine indifference, she met someone naturally, effortlessly in the most unexpected way. But notice, she did not meet him while desperately seeking. She met him when she had stopped caring about whether it happened or not. The caring from lack had kept him away. The indifference from fullness had drawn him to her. Let me be absolutely clear about why desperation repels what you desire. Desperation is the loudest possible declaration of absence. When you are desperate for money, you are affirming poverty. When you are desperate for love, you are affirming loneliness. When you are desperate for health, you are affirming sickness. Desperation is consciousness focused entirely on what is missing, and what you focus on in consciousness must manifest as your experience. Think about the energy of desperation. It is clutching, grasping, needy, anxious. It is the energy of someone drowning, frantically reaching for anything to save them. And this energy repels rather than attracts because it is the energy of lack, not abundance. I have seen this principle demonstrated countless times. People come to me desperate for their desires, desperate for money, for healing, for love, for success. And I can see immediately that their desperation is the very thing preventing manifestation. A businessman came to me whose company was on the verge of bankruptcy. He was desperate, frantically working, anxiously strategizing, desperately trying to force success. Every fiber of his being screamed, "I need this business to succeed or I will be destroyed." And that desperate energy was repelling every opportunity, every solution, every possibility of success. I said to him, "Your desperation is strangling your business. You must release the death grip. You must stop caring so desperately about whether it succeeds or fails." "But how can I not care?" he protested. "Everything depends on this. My family, my reputation, my entire future. That belief that everything depends on this is the very belief that is killing your business," I explained. As long as you believe your well-being depends on this external circumstance, you will remain in a state of desperate need, and desperate need can only create more need. I taught him to practice a daily meditation, where he would deliberately release his grip on the outcome. He would imagine himself perfectly content whether the business succeeded or failed. He would feel that he was complete, whole, and abundant, regardless of external circumstances. This was difficult for him. It felt like giving up, like tempting fate. But I explained that this was not giving up, it was giving over to a higher power, to the infinite intelligence of consciousness that knows how to create far better than the limited, desperate conscious mind. As he practiced this release, something remarkable happened. His anxiety dissolved, his desperate actions ceased. And from that place of indifference, of genuine "I am fine either way," creative solutions appeared that he had been too desperate to see before. Within 6 months, his business had not only recovered, but was more profitable than ever. But the recovery came only after he stopped desperately caring about whether it survived or died. Desperation repels. Indifference attracts. Now let me reveal to you what divine indifference actually is, because many people misunderstand this principle. Divine indifference is not about not wanting your desire. It is not about suppressing your wishes or pretending you do not care. Divine indifference is the natural state of someone who already has what they desire. Think about something you already have that you no longer think about. Perhaps your ability to walk, to see, to breathe. Do you care desperately about having these things? No. You are indifferent to them because they are already yours. They are so natural, so certain that you do not give them a second thought. That is the indifference I speak of. It is the indifference that comes from having, not from giving up. When you truly assume that your desire is already yours in consciousness, when you have felt it so completely that it becomes natural and normal, you automatically become indifferent to whether it manifests physically, because you know it already is yours where it matters most, in consciousness. This is why I teach living in the end. When you live in the end, when you dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, you naturally stop caring about when or how it will appear physically, because you are already experiencing it in consciousness. A young man came to me wanting to manifest a specific career position. For months, he had been desperately hoping, anxiously checking, obsessively monitoring, and nothing was happening. I asked him, if you already had this position, would you be anxiously checking to see if you had it? He laughed. Of course not. If I had it, I would just be living my life doing the job. Exactly, I said. Your anxious checking is proof that you have not yet assumed you have it. You are living in the state of not having it, and desperately wanting it. You must shift to the state of already having it, which naturally produces indifference to whether the external world has caught up yet. I taught him to dwell in the end so completely that he would forget to check for signs, to imagine himself in the position so vividly and naturally that it became more real than his current circumstances, to live from that end state with such certainty that the question of when will it happen became irrelevant. As he practiced this, his desperate caring dissolved. He reached a genuine state of indifference, not because he had given up, but because he was so certain it was already his, that the physical manifestation became merely a detail, a formality, something that would happen in its own perfect time. And within 2 months, the position was offered to him in a way he never could have predicted or planned. Divine indifference is not apathy. It is certainty so deep that you stop needing external confirmation. One of the most powerful aspects of divine indifference is detachment from how and when your desire will manifest. When you care desperately about your desire, you also care desperately about how it will come and when it will arrive. You try to control the means, to force the timing, to manipulate the circumstances. And this controlling energy blocks the infinite intelligence that knows exactly how and when to manifest your desire perfectly. But when you reach the state of indifference, you naturally release control of the how and when. You rest in the certainty that it is already yours in consciousness, and you trust that it will manifest in the perfect way at the perfect time. This detachment is not passive. You still take inspired action. You still move in the direction of your desire, but you do so from a place of peace rather than desperate control. You act when inspired, not when anxious. You move forward with confidence, not with frantic pushing. A woman wanted to sell her house and had been desperately trying to control every aspect of the process. She obsessively staged the home, anxiously monitored the market, desperately pressured her real estate agent, and the house was not selling. I said to her, "Your desperate control is blocking the sale. You must release your grip on how this happens, and when this happens, you must become indifferent to the details while remaining certain of the outcome." She practiced assuming the house was already sold, then releasing all concern about how and when it would sell physically. She stopped obsessively checking for offers. She stopped desperately manipulating the process. She reached a state of peaceful indifference, and within 3 weeks, after months of desperate trying had produced nothing, the house sold quickly and for more than her asking price. When you release control of the how and when, you allow infinite intelligence to orchestrate circumstances in ways far beyond what your limited mind could plan. Let me give you a practical test to know whether you have reached the state of divine indifference. Can you walk away from your desire without feeling loss? Not because you do not want it, not because you have given up, but because you are so certain it is already yours in consciousness that whether it manifests physically today or tomorrow or next month is irrelevant to your sense of completeness. If the thought of your desire not manifesting creates anxiety, panic, or devastation in you, you have not yet reached divine indifference. You are still attached to the outcome from a place of need. But if you can genuinely say, "It would be wonderful if this manifests, and I know it will because it already is mine in consciousness, but I am perfectly content and complete regardless of when the physical evidence appears," then you have reached the state that allows manifestation to flow. This is the ultimate test, and it is the hardest for most people to achieve, because it requires them to find their completeness within themselves rather than in external circumstances. A man came to me who had been desperately trying to manifest a relationship with a specific woman. He thought about her constantly, desperately engineered ways to encounter her, and she seemed completely uninterested. I said to him, "Could you walk away from this desire right now and feel perfectly fine?" "Absolutely not," he said. "I need this to happen. I cannot imagine my life without her." "There is your problem," I replied. "You have made her your source of completeness. You believe you are incomplete without her. And that belief creates the desperate energy that repels her." I taught him to practice becoming complete within himself, to find his wholeness independent of whether she was in his life or not, to reach a genuine state where he could say, "I would love to be with her, but I am perfectly complete whether I am or not." This was the hardest work he had ever done, finding his completeness within himself rather than seeking it from another person. But as he practiced this, something shifted. The desperate, needy energy dissolved. He became genuinely content with his life as it was. And interestingly, as he reached that state of indifference, as he became genuinely okay with or without her, she began showing interest. The very indifference he had cultivated became attractive because it signaled wholeness rather than neediness. The ability to walk away is not about rejecting your desire. It is about being so complete in yourself that your desire becomes a joyful addition rather than a desperate need. Now, let me clarify something important. I am not teaching you to become cold, emotionless, or uncaring about life. I am teaching you the difference between caring from fullness and caring from lack. Caring from lack is, I need this or I will be incomplete. Caring from fullness is, I already am complete, and this will be a delightful expression of my completeness. Caring from lack is, without this I am not enough. Caring from fullness is, I am already enough, and this is the overflow of my abundance. Do you see the difference? Both involve caring. Both involve desire. But one cares from a place of emptiness and need, while the other cares from a place of wholeness and abundance. When you care from fullness, you naturally embody divine indifference because your well-being is not dependent on the outcome. You want it. Yes. You desire it. Yes. But your sense of completeness, your inner peace, your fundamental okayness does not depend on getting it. And paradoxically, it is this very independence from the outcome that allows the outcome to manifest effortlessly. A woman wanted to start a business but was paralyzed by fear of failure. She cared desperately about succeeding because she believed her worth as a person depended on the success of this business. I said to her, you are caring from lack. You believe your business success will make you valuable, which means you currently believe you are not valuable. That belief in your own inadequacy will sabotage your business before it even begins. I taught her to find her value independent of any external achievement, to know herself as already whole, already worthy, already successful in consciousness, to care about the business from that place of fullness, rather than from a desperate need to prove her worth. As she practiced this, her entire energy around the business changed. She stopped desperately needing it to succeed, to validate her worth. She began enjoying the process rather than anxiously fixating on outcomes. She made decisions from confidence rather than fear, and her business flourished because it was built on a foundation of fullness rather than desperate need. Care about your desires, yes, but care from the overflow of already being complete, not from the desperation of trying to become complete. So how do you cultivate this state of divine indifference? How do you stop caring in the way that blocks and start not caring in the way that allows? The practice is simple but profound. Daily release. Each day consciously release your grip on the outcomes you desire, not by giving up on them, but by affirming your completeness independent of them. You might say to yourself, I desire this, and I know it is already mine in consciousness. But I am perfectly complete, whether the physical world shows it to me today or not. I release my need for external validation of what I know is already true in consciousness. Or more simply, it would be wonderful, but I am fine either way. This is not a statement of indifference from apathy. It is a statement of indifference from certainty. You are fine either way because you know it is already yours where it truly matters. In consciousness, and the physical manifestation is merely a matter of time. Practice this release, especially in moments when you catch yourself desperately checking for signs, anxiously obsessing over timing, or frantically trying to control how your desire will manifest. In those moments, pause, take a breath, and consciously release the death grip. Affirm your completeness. Return to the state of certainty that allows indifference. A man wanting to heal his body caught himself obsessively checking symptoms dozens of times per day. Each time he checked, he was affirming, I am still sick, I am still broken, I still need healing. I taught him to practice release each time he caught himself checking, to say, I am already whole in consciousness. This physical evidence is old news, already fading. I release my need to see it change right now. I am perfectly at peace. As he practiced this daily release, his anxiety about healing dissolved, And interestingly, as his anxiety dissolved, his symptoms began to improve. The body was responding to his shift from desperate caring to peaceful certainty. Release does not mean you stop desiring. It means you stop desperately needing. And that shift from desperate need to peaceful certainty is what allows manifestation to flow. Divine indifference is the ultimate freedom because it means nothing external can disturb your peace. Your well-being, your completeness, your sense of self is no longer dependent on circumstances, behaving the way you want them to. You become like the sun, shining regardless of whether anyone basks in your light. Complete in yourself, abundant in yourself, whole in yourself. And from that state of self-sufficient wholeness, everything flows to you because you are no longer repelling anything with desperate need. This is the great secret that mystics throughout history have taught. Attachment is suffering, and freedom comes from releasing attachment to outcomes while remaining passionately engaged with life. You care deeply about your desires. Yes. You hold the vision. Yes. You maintain the assumption. Yes. But underneath it all, you remain peacefully indifferent to when and how they manifest, because you are already complete in consciousness. Tonight I want you to understand this clearly. The things you desperately care about are being kept away by your very desperation. The tight grip with which you clutch your desires is strangling them. But if you can release that grip, if you can reach the state of divine indifference where you are genuinely okay either way because you know you are already complete, then everything you desire must flow to you effortlessly. Stop caring about when it will happen. Stop caring about how it will happen. Stop caring about whether others see it happening. Stop caring in the desperate, needy way that pushes away. Instead, care from the fullness of already having. Care from the overflow of being complete. Care with the peaceful certainty that what is yours in consciousness must manifest in experience. The paradox is real. Stop caring, and you get everything. Not because the universe rewards indifference, but because indifference is the natural state of someone who already has what they desire in consciousness. Be indifferent to the timing. Be indifferent to the means. Be indifferent to external validation. But remain absolutely certain of your inner reality. Your consciousness of already having that certainty, combined with indifference to externals, is the most powerful state of manifestation you can achieve. Release the death grip. Find your completeness within. Care from overflow rather than from need. And watch as everything you desire flows to you effortlessly, naturally, inevitably. Not because you stop wanting it, but because you stop desperately needing it. Stop caring in the way that blocks and start not caring in the way that allows. And you will get everything. Thank you, and good evening. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of consciousness. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here because your soul is ready for this truth. Take these teachings and let them transform not just your mind, but your entire reality. Until we meet again in consciousness, keep assuming your greatness and living from the end of your desires. This is Best of Lectures, and I'll see you in the next video.
Picture this. There's a lottery winner sitting in their mansion right now, surrounded by luxury cars and designer furniture, feeling empty and terrified that it will all disappear. 3 blocks away, a janitor earning $30,000 a year is whistling while he works, mentally designing the business empire he's building $1 at a time, radiating an energy that attracts investors and opportunities wherever he goes. One of them has millions but no money frequency. The other has the money frequency but no millions yet. Guess which one will be financially free for life? If your answer surprised you, you're about to discover the most profound secret about money ever revealed. In this video, we're going to completely revolutionize your relationship with wealth. But first, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract money, while others struggle despite working twice as hard? Why lottery winners often end up broke again, but certain entrepreneurs can lose everything and rebuild their fortune in record time? The answer isn't what you think, and everything you've been taught about money is backwards. Today, we're exposing the greatest lie about wealth that's been passed down for generations. And I'm going to show you the one principle that has created every fortune in history, though few have understood how it actually works. If you've been trying to build wealth, chances are you've tried everything. You've read the business books, followed the investment strategies, worked longer hours, hustled harder, and perhaps even tried various manifestation techniques that promised wealth but delivered disappointment. You may be frustrated, wondering why others seem to effortlessly attract money while you struggle despite your best efforts. Here's the truth that will change everything. You've been approaching wealth creation completely backwards. From childhood, we're programmed with a fundamental lie about money. We're told that wealth comes from hard work, education, connections, luck, or being in the right place at the right time. While these external factors certainly play a role, they are not the source of wealth. They are merely the channels through which wealth flows. This is the great deception, believing that money exists out there in the world, separate from you, waiting to be earned, found, or attracted through external manipulation. Consider this. Why do some people with minimal education become millionaires, while others with advanced degrees struggle financially? Why do some individuals repeatedly create wealth even after losing everything, while others can't seem to break through their income ceiling despite years of effort? Why do lottery winners often end up broke again within a few years? The answer lies in understanding a principle that the wealthy have always known, either consciously or unconsciously. Wealth is an inside job. Traditional wealth-building advice focuses entirely on external strategies. Work harder and longer. Get more education or skills. Network with the right people. Invest in the right opportunities. Cut expenses and save more. Start a business or side hustle. While these actions can be valuable, they're treating the symptoms rather than the cause. They're attempting to change your financial reality from the outside in, which is like trying to change your reflection by manipulating the mirror. This approach keeps millions of people trapped in a cycle of financial struggle because it ignores the fundamental truth about how reality is actually created. Here's what changes everything. Your consciousness, your deep-seated beliefs, assumptions, and inner convictions about money is the actual source of your wealth. Consciousness doesn't just influence your financial results. It creates them. Every dollar you've ever earned, every opportunity that has come your way, every financial setback you've experienced, all of it originated in consciousness first, then materialized in your external world. This isn't metaphysical mumbo-jumbo or wishful thinking. This is how reality operates. And understanding this principle is what separates those who create lasting wealth from those who perpetually struggle with money. Think of consciousness as a broadcasting station. Whatever beliefs, assumptions, and inner convictions you hold about money are constantly being broadcast out into the world. The external world, including your bank account, then rearranges itself to match that broadcast. This is what we call your money frequency. If your deep down assumption is money is hard to come by, reality will consistently present you with experiences that confirm this belief. You'll find yourself working harder for less, missing opportunities, or encountering unexpected expenses that drain your resources. Conversely, if your fundamental assumption is money flows to me easily and abundantly, reality will orchestrate circumstances, opportunities, and encounters that make this true in your experience. This is why two people can take identical business courses or follow the same investment strategy and get completely different results. The external strategy is not the determining factor. The money frequency behind it is. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to succeed with any strategy they try, while others fail despite having better plans, more resources, or superior skills? This isn't coincidence. It's their money frequency at work. Traditional wealth-building strategies fail for most people because they're trying to override their money frequency through force and effort. It's like pressing the accelerator while the parking brake is still engaged. You might make some progress, but you'll never reach your full potential, and the journey will be unnecessarily difficult. When your actions are in conflict with your deep assumptions about money, one of two things happens. Number one, sabotage. You'll unconsciously sabotage your efforts through procrastination, poor decisions, or self-defeating behaviors. Number 2, temporary success. You might achieve some success through sheer force of will, but it won't be sustainable. You'll eventually revert to your frequency level, often losing what you've gained. This explains why lottery winners often end up broke again. Inheritance recipients frequently squander their windfalls. Successful entrepreneurs sometimes lose everything and struggle to rebuild. And people hit invisible income ceilings they can't seem to break through. Their external circumstances change temporarily, but their money frequency remained the same. Eventually, external reality realigned with internal frequency. Your financial situation is like a mirror, perfectly reflecting your inner state regarding money. This is the money mirror principle, and it's one of the most powerful concepts you'll learn in this series. Just as a physical mirror shows you exactly what's in front of it, no more, no less. Your bank account and financial circumstances reflect exactly what's going on in your consciousness regarding wealth. Your current financial situation is providing you with precise feedback about your money frequency. If you're struggling financially, your frequency likely contains assumptions such as money is scarce and hard to come by. I have to work hard for every dollar. Rich people are greedy or lucky. I don't deserve to be wealthy. There's not enough money to go around. If you're comfortable but not wealthy, your frequency might hold assumptions like, I can get by, but wealth is for other people. Money is nice, but it's not everything. I should be grateful for what I have. Getting rich requires sacrificing what's important. If you experience financial feast and famine cycles, your frequency likely fluctuates between periods of feeling abundant and capable, periods of fear and lack consciousness, and conflicting beliefs about money and worthiness. This is not about positive thinking or affirmations. This is about tuning into the deep inner frequency of wealth at such a fundamental level that your external world has no choice but to reflect that frequency back to you. Now you're beginning to see why everything you've been taught about wealth creation is backwards. The conventional approach says, take external action, achieve external results, then feel wealthy. The frequency approach, the approach that actually works, says, tune into wealth frequency, feel wealthy now, and external results follow naturally. This reversal changes everything. Instead of trying to become wealthy, you start from tuning into the frequency where you already are wealthy, and you allow that frequency to express itself in your external world. This doesn't mean external action becomes irrelevant. It means external action becomes inspired, effortless, and effective, because it's backed by the frequency of wealth rather than the frequency of lack. When you tune into wealth frequency first, the right opportunities appear, the right people enter your life, the right ideas come to you, and the right actions become obvious. You're no longer swimming against the current of your own limiting beliefs. You're flowing with the natural abundance of the universe. As we move forward in this series, we'll build upon this foundation. Wealth is frequency expressing itself in form. Your external financial reality is a perfect mirror of your inner money frequency. Changing your money frequency changes your financial reality automatically. You don't need to earn wealth. You need to tune into it. Everything else we'll explore, specific techniques, daily practices, troubleshooting methods, all rest on this fundamental understanding. Without this foundation, manifestation techniques become desperate attempts to manipulate reality from a position of lack. With this foundation, they become natural expressions of your inherent abundance. You are about to embark on a journey that will completely revolutionize your relationship with money. You'll discover that wealth isn't something you need to chase, earn, or achieve. It's something you can simply tune into as your natural frequency. The great money deception ends here. Your money frequency journey begins now. If you're ready to discover exactly where your wealth exists right now and how to access the wealth frequency that's already available to you in this moment, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next episode where we dive deep into the quantum field of infinite abundance. In the comments below, I want you to declare your commitment to this journey. Simply write, I'm ready to tune into my money frequency. When you declare this publicly, you're taking the first step to shifting your financial reality. Your declaration sends a signal to the universe that you're ready for transformation. Remember, you are not separate from wealth. Wealth is a frequency you can tune into right now. Your wealthy life begins with your next frequency adjustment. I'll see you in the next video. Right now, as you're watching this video, there exists a version of you that is abundantly wealthy. This isn't a metaphor or a motivational concept. This is a fundamental truth about the nature of reality itself. Your wealth exists right now, in this moment, in what we call the quantum field of infinite abundance. Understanding this isn't just philosophically interesting. It's practically essential. Because once you truly grasp where your wealth actually exists, you'll stop trying to create it and start simply accessing it. So what exactly is this quantum field of infinite abundance? Modern quantum physics has revealed something that ancient wisdom traditions have always known. Reality is far more fluid and consciousness dependent than our senses suggest. At the quantum level, all possibilities exist simultaneously in what physicists call the quantum field, a realm of pure potential where every possible version of your life exists right now. In this field, there's a version of you with the exact amount of wealth you desire. There's a version of you living in your dream home, driving your ideal car, enjoying complete financial freedom. There's a version of you who never worries about money because abundance is simply your natural state. These aren't future possibilities. They exist right now in the quantum field. Your role isn't to create wealth. It's to select which version of yourself you're going to experience. But how does this actually work in practice? Everything in existence operates on frequency. Your thoughts have a frequency. Your emotions have a frequency. And yes, wealth has a frequency. When you're tuned to the wealth frequency, you naturally attract and experience abundance. When you're tuned to the scarcity frequency, you experience lack and limitation. Think of it like a radio. All the radio stations are broadcasting simultaneously, but you only hear the one you're tuned to. Similarly, all possible financial realities are available simultaneously, but you only experience the one your consciousness is tuned to. The wealthy version of you isn't in the future. It's broadcasting right now on the wealth frequency. Your job is to tune in. Now, one of the biggest obstacles to accessing your wealth is what I call linear time thinking. What do I mean by this? Linear time thinking is the belief that wealth must be built step by step over time through gradual accumulation. This thinking keeps you trapped in the slow, difficult path of trying to create wealth from scratch. But consciousness operates outside of linear time. In consciousness, you can step directly into the wealthy version of yourself right now. When you do this, the external world then rearranges itself to match your new inner reality, bringing you the opportunities, resources, and circumstances that align with your wealth consciousness. This is why some people can go from broke to wealthy seemingly overnight, while others struggle for decades without significant progress. The difference isn't in their external strategies, it's in their ability to access and embody the wealth frequency. So where exactly does this parallel reality exist, where you're already wealthy? Let's explore this concept more deeply. In the quantum field, there exists a parallel reality where you made different choices, held different beliefs, and as a result, manifested abundant wealth. In this reality, you wake up each morning with complete financial security. You make decisions based on what you want, not what you can afford. Money flows to you through multiple streams, with apparent ease. You contribute generously to causes you care about. You live in beautiful surroundings that reflect your success. You feel worthy and deserving of all the abundance you enjoy. This parallel reality isn't fantasy. It's as real as your current reality. The only difference is that you're not currently experiencing it, because your consciousness isn't aligned with it. Your consciousness is the bridge between your current financial reality and the wealthy reality that already exists. When you shift your consciousness to match the wealthy version of yourself, you literally shift into that parallel reality. This isn't about pretending or visualizing. This is about recognizing that the wealthy you already exists and consciously choosing to embody that version of yourself. When you do this with sufficient depth and conviction, your external circumstances must shift to match. Think of it like changing channels on a television. The channel you were watching doesn't disappear when you change channels. It continues broadcasting. You've simply tuned into a different signal. Similarly, when you shift to wealth consciousness, you're not creating a new reality. You're tuning into a reality that already exists. The key to accessing your wealthy parallel self is to stop thinking of wealth as something you need to achieve and start experiencing it as something you already are in another dimension of reality. Here's a powerful exercise to begin this process. Close your eyes and imagine that somewhere in the quantum field, there's a version of you that has already achieved all the wealth you desire. This version of you has the same personality, the same core essence, but they made different assumptions about money and therefore manifested different results. Now, instead of trying to become this wealthy version of yourself, simply recognize that you are this version of yourself, just experiencing a different frequency of reality. Feel into what it would be like to be that version of you right now. How would you feel? How would you move through the world? What would your inner dialogue sound like? How would you make decisions? Don't try to imagine the external details. Focus on the inner experience of being the wealthy version of yourself. This isn't visualization. This is recognition. You're recognizing and connecting with a version of yourself that already exists. Now, here's something that might seem revolutionary. Your wealth consciousness is completely independent of your current bank balance. Most people make the mistake of trying to feel wealthy after they have money, but this approach has it backwards. Wealth consciousness comes first, then the money follows. Your bank balance is simply a historical record of your past consciousness. It has no power to determine your future wealth unless you give it that power. There's always a time lag between a shift in consciousness and its manifestation in physical reality. This time lag serves an important purpose. It prevents reality from changing so rapidly that it becomes chaotic and unpredictable. However, this time lag often confuses people who are new to consciousness-based wealth creation. They assume wealth consciousness and then look immediately at their bank account for confirmation. When they don't see instant results, they conclude that the approach doesn't work and return to scarcity consciousness. But here's what's actually happening. When you assume wealth consciousness, you set in motion a reorganization of circumstances that will lead to the manifestation of wealth. This reorganization might involve new opportunities appearing in your life, meeting people who can help you, getting ideas for income generation, developing new skills or insights, changes in your decision-making patterns, and shifts in how others perceive and respond to you. All of these changes begin immediately when you assume wealth consciousness, but they take time to culminate in visible financial results. The period between assuming wealth consciousness and seeing it manifest in your bank account is what we call the bridge period. This is the most crucial time in the entire manifestation process, because it's when your commitment to your new consciousness is tested. During the bridge period, your external circumstances might still reflect your old consciousness. Your bills are still the same. Your income might not have changed yet, and you might face financial challenges that seem to contradict your new wealth consciousness. This is completely normal and expected. Your external world is catching up to your internal shift. The key is to maintain your wealth consciousness regardless of what your current circumstances suggest. Remember, your current circumstances are the result of your past consciousness. Your wealth consciousness is creating your future circumstances. Don't let the past override the future. Here's the secret. You can feel genuinely wealthy right now, even if your bank account doesn't reflect it yet. In fact, feeling wealthy now is what creates the fact of wealth later. Wealth consciousness isn't about the amount of money you have. It's about your relationship with abundance itself. When you truly embody wealth consciousness, you feel abundant and secure regardless of your current financial situation. You make decisions from a place of plenty rather than scarcity. You're generous with what you have, knowing more is always available. You expect good things to happen financially. You feel worthy of abundance and prosperity. You see opportunities where others see obstacles. These internal states are available to you right now, regardless of your bank balance. And when you consistently embody these states, your external financial reality must eventually match them. Now, what's the scientific basis for all of this? Is there actual research supporting consciousness-created abundance? While the concept of consciousness creating reality might seem mystical, it's actually supported by cutting-edge scientific research in quantum physics, neuroscience, and consciousness studies. Let me explain how quantum physics supports this. Quantum physics has demonstrated that consciousness plays a fundamental role in determining reality. The famous observer effect shows that the act of observation actually influences what is observed. Subatomic particles exist in a state of probability until they're observed, at which point they collapse into a definite state. This suggests that consciousness doesn't just observe reality, it participates in creating reality. When you observe your life from wealth consciousness rather than scarcity consciousness, you're literally influencing the quantum field to manifest experiences that match your observation. Neuroscience research has shown that our beliefs literally rewire our brains, creating new neural pathways that influence how we perceive and interact with the world. When you hold wealth consciousness beliefs, you're creating neural pathways that notice opportunities that align with abundance, generate ideas for creating value and income, recognize resources that were previously invisible, make decisions that support financial growth, and build relationships with people who can help you prosper. Your brain becomes a wealth-seeking, opportunity-recognizing instrument when it's programmed with abundance consciousness. Your brain has a filtering system called the reticular activating system, or RAS, that determines what information you notice and what you ignore. When you assume wealth consciousness, you're programming this system to notice business opportunities, investment possibilities, people who can help you succeed, resources for creating income, and signs that abundance is flowing to you. Someone with scarcity consciousness has their reticular activating system programmed to notice lack, problems, obstacles, and evidence that money is hard to come by. They literally live in a different perceptual world, even though they're in the same physical environment. There's research on collective consciousness and wealth too. The research into morphic resonance suggests that when you embody a particular state of consciousness, you tap into a collective field of similar consciousness. When you assume wealth consciousness, you're connecting with the collective field of all wealthy individuals throughout history. This isn't just metaphysical speculation. You can feel this connection when you truly embody wealth consciousness. You gain access to insights, wisdom, and intuitive guidance that seems to come from beyond your individual mind. Now that you understand where your wealth exists and how consciousness creates reality, the question becomes, how do you consistently live from the wealth frequency? First, let me describe what the wealth frequency actually feels like. The wealth frequency has a distinctive feeling to it. It's characterized by ease and flow. Things feel effortless rather than forced. There's expectancy. You expect good things to happen financially. You feel security, fundamentally safe, and provided for. There's generosity. You want to give and share with others. You experience gratitude, appreciating the abundance that already exists in your life. There's playfulness. Money feels fun, rather than serious and stressful. And worthiness. You feel deserving of abundance and prosperity. When you're consistently operating from these feelings, you're tuned to the wealth frequency. Money, opportunities, and resources naturally flow toward this frequency. Now, what does the scarcity frequency feel like in comparison? By contrast, the scarcity frequency feels like struggle and force. Everything feels difficult and requires excessive effort. There's worry. You're constantly concerned about not having enough. You feel insecurity, vulnerable, and at risk financially. There's hoarding. You want to hold on to what you have out of fear. You experience resentment, feeling bitter about others' success or your lack thereof. Everything feels serious. Money feels heavy and stressful. And there's the feeling of unworthiness. You don't feel deserving of abundance. When you're operating from these feelings, You're tuned to the scarcity frequency, which can only attract more experiences of lack and limitation. The key to accessing your wealth is learning to consciously shift from the scarcity frequency to the wealth frequency. Here are some immediate techniques. First, try the assumption shift. Instead of thinking I need money, assume money flows to me easily. Feel the difference between these two states. Second, use the gratitude amplifier. Focus on abundance that already exists in your life. Health, relationships, opportunities, even basic needs being met. Gratitude for existing abundance tunes you to the frequency for more abundance. Third, embody the wealthy identity. Ask yourself, how would I feel right now if I were already wealthy? Then embody that feeling regardless of your current circumstances. Fourth, practice the generous act. Do something generous, even if small. Generosity can only come from abundance consciousness and immediately shifts you to the wealth frequency. Now let me make something crystal clear for you. Your wealth exists right now. It's not in the future. It's not dependent on external circumstances changing, and it's not something you need to earn or deserve. Your wealth exists in the quantum field of infinite abundance. Your wealthy self exists in a parallel reality. The wealth frequency is broadcasting right now, waiting for you to tune in. The only thing standing between you and the experience of wealth is your willingness to accept that it already exists and to embody the consciousness that matches it. In our next episode, we'll explore the specific principles of assumption and how to apply them to wealth creation. You'll learn the exact difference between hoping for money and assuming wealth, and why this distinction makes all the difference in your financial results. But for now, simply rest in this knowing. Somewhere in the quantum field, you are already abundantly wealthy. Your job isn't to create this wealth. It's to accept it, embody it, and allow it to manifest in your experience. The wealth frequency is calling. In the comments below, declare I'm ready to tune into my money frequency. Remember, your wealth exists now. Your wealthy self is real, and the frequency is available to you right now.